Hello there. This is Lee Thurburn, and I am 1 hour late getting started on my live stream, Lee. Normally, I do this at 3 o'clock, but I made a mistake on my scheduling, so today we're doing it at 4 o'clock. So, we're going to do something very different today. I've been building for the last 3 weeks an app for a multi-vendor marketplace, and I've been taking the approach of building a little bit each day online. And quite honestly, it hadn't gone as fast as I'd like. And I got stuck a couple of times and felt kind of foolish because I didn't actually have all of it figured out. So this weekend, I went ahead and rebuilt the app from scratch because I'd run into a couple of problems I needed to work my way through. And so I'm now going to show you a totally different version of the app. It's fundamentally the same, but I have rebuilt it, and I'm going to show you some of the changes that I've done. But rather than build it live with you online, I'm going to review the build on a screen-by-screen basis and show you the flow. Before I get started, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, Apricot Rocket is my software company, which is my day job. And I'd like to encourage you to visit apricotrocket.com as a place to go to help your company, your business, get more customers. We are a software platform in many respects similar to Facebook and LinkedIn, but different. We're not a social media like Facebook, and we're not a business professional networking tool like LinkedIn. We're a business tool that has a CRM, email marketing, a whole bunch of things built into it, specifically designed to help businesses get customers. And so if you go to apricotrocket.com, you can create an account for free, get yourself a whole suite of powerful tools. And then if you decide you want to upgrade, we have a lot of extra things that we provide to you. Go to apricotrocket.com. This broadcast, Livestreamly, has a website called livestreamly.com. If you go there, you can create an account and join our community, which, by the way, also gets you a free account on Apricot Rocket. In the community, you can get access to a variety of additional resources related to our broadcast. But at livestreamly.com, you can also see a complete history of all of these broadcasts to help you be able to more efficiently follow different themes, different content. Got a lot of content, a lot of stuff you're going to be interested in. So go do that. Finally, I want to tell you about a friend of mine, Dan Nelson. I'm a history buff, and Dan is a genealogist that is also a masterful literally a masterful storyteller. He publishes a newsletter twice a month on Saturdays, or every 2 weeks on Saturdays, and it is really one of the most interesting reads that I get periodically. He always has some snippets, some information that just is really fascinating. So it's not information about his clients. That's not what he does. What he does is, as he's unearthing and doing research into different, projects that he has, he comes across interesting historical facts and he shares them. And I think if you're a history buff, you're going to really enjoy this read. There's no cost. He doesn't do a sales pitch. He's not going to reach out to you and try to sell you something. If you go to livestreamly.com, you can click on the Dan Nelson link and subscribe to Dan's newsletter. You'll be glad you did. It's a fun read each month. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump into the live stream. So this is the cart that I'm going to be talking to you about. And what I want to do is I'm going to move it over a little bit. And I want to show you the layout on this cart. Okay, so this first screen, I'm going to show you at this level, and then we're going to zoom in, and then we're going to really get detailed. So when you have the web or have this cell phone app on your phone, and you click on the icon to launch the app, that brings you to the splash page, which is this one I'm clicking on or hovering over right here. When you decide to log in, you either sign up or you log in. If you've already got an account, you log in and then you go directly to the home screen. If you sign up, you create an account you create a profile, and then you go to the home screen. Now, from the home screen, you can do a number of things. If you want to edit or visit your profile, it's basically going to take you to this cluster of screens up here. This is where you edit your profile. To do that, you basically you go to your profile page and then you go into an edit mode. From your profile page, you can click on a link at the bottom and you can go to your orders history. From your orders history, you can look at either closed or completed orders or pending orders, and then you can click on one of them and you can get the order detail here on your past order history detail page. So this cluster of screens here relates to your profile. Now, from the home page, you also can click on a link to go to if you already have decided to become a vendor, which we don't have a fee charged for the vendor process. I'll build a gateway for that. But from the home screen, you can go into the products and look at the products. So this is the products screen right here. And from the product screen, you do a search for a product you're looking for, which can be any number of vendors. So this is a multi-vendor application. So any number of vendors can have products listed. When you click on a product, you go to the vendor's detail page where you see that product and all of the other products that the vendor offers. There's a button down at the bottom that you click on to start an order, which then allows you to select products to put into a cart. You put them into your cart and then you check out. Once you check out, you get a confirmation screen. And then as a purchaser, you go to your profile page where you can see the orders that you've got. Okay, now there are a couple of additional things going on here. So first of all, vendors can add products, and when they do, from the vendor page here, if you log in and you are a vendor, you get a button that you don't normally see as a user. And that button allows you to go to your vendor page where you then can add products, edit. You can view your product detail. You can add products. You can edit products. So these are the product screens right here. And then when you're in the checkout process, over here, when you're in the checkout process, we have the ability to create or to select a shipping option. Each vendor can have their own shipping options associated with their products. And so you select a shipping option down in this area, and then that takes you to this page where you select the shipping option, and then it returns you. As a vendor, you can edit your shipping options. So you can add, this is where you view your shipping options, and you click on a button to add, you click on something to edit. So these are your shipping option screens right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we're going to walk through this a little bit tighter. And I'm going to then zoom in and show you the actual workflow. So I'm going to zoom in one more click, and here we go. So this is, again, this is the splash screen, and you either sign up or you log in. If you sign up, it takes you to this screen where you create an email address and a password. Then it takes you to this screen where you create a profile as an account or as a user of the app. From there, it takes you to this home screen. Now, on this home screen, on the right-hand side, you can decide to become a vendor, which allows the user to create a vendor account. If you already are a vendor, you can view your vendor profile. But if you're not a vendor, then this button will not show. So if you're not a vendor, you can become a vendor, or you can search the product list, or you can visit your profile, or you can log out. If you have already set yourself up as a vendor, then this vendor profile button will allow you to go to your vendor profile from where you can edit, you can add products, you can edit products, you can add shipping rates, you can edit shipping rates, you can look at your order history and all that kind of stuff. So you can go to the vendor profile. So this home screen is kind of your starting point. Now down here below the sign up screen is the login screen. So if you click the login button, the green button, that takes you to the login screen. And from there you bypass the create user profile screen and you land here. Now, one of the things on the user profile screen that we require is that you set up a state. Now, we have a table for US states where you have to choose one of the states, and every state has its own unique sales tax. So when we require a user to sign up and then create a profile, we require that they tell us what state they're in so that we know what sales tax rate to use when they're purchasing from a vendor, because each state has different sales tax rates. So this screen is critical because, among other things, it sets the sales tax rate by making you choose a state. So then from there, you move over and you come to the home screen. And the home screen, again, is where you choose where to go. So this button right here, vendor profile, I'm going to click on this button so you can see the variability. Over on the left-hand side, it says button. I'm going to go ahead and name this button vendor profile button. So we're naming the button vendor profile. Now, the button already had a label, text label that said vendor profile. So this button is sometimes visible. Now, you can make this button sometimes visible or not by clicking on the little dots, clicking on change visibility. So here is where you choose the visibility, always visible or sometimes visible. We have it currently set to sometimes visible. You will be visible, this button will be visible if the logged in user vendor status is true. Okay, so how do we know if the user vendor status is true? Okay, well, we know that because when you click on become a vendor, this takes you to the page create vendor account. Okay, so the create vendor account is over here above the vendor profile, create vendor account. So that button takes you to this page. On this page, you create the vendor account. So I'm going to click here. When you create a new vendor account, there's a submit button that takes you, that says create vendor account. Okay, so once you've created the vendor account, actually, this doesn't do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another action and we're going to link back. So once you've created the vendor account, it's going to take you back. Okay, now, this is an important point. If you want to charge somebody a fee for being a vendor, what we have to do is we have to insert a fee charge point between the create vendor account button and the create vendor account screen. So what we would want to do in that case, we'll come back over to the homes, come down. So it says become a vendor. So if we wanted to charge, rather than take you directly to the create account, what we could do is we could come over here and we could insert maybe right in this blank area right here. We could create a screen, and from a flow perspective, it would come from the become a vendor to the pay to become a vendor, and then that would take you to the create vendor. So you couldn't get to the create vendor account unless you'd pay. But right now, we just make it possible for anybody to create a vendor account. So when you create a vendor account and you click the submit button, it takes you back to the, I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump around on you. Here we go. It takes you back to this home screen where now, because you're a vendor, you'll see the vendor profile. Now, when we do a create vendor, let's look and see how this happens. So this is the screen over here on the right. We're on the vendor form, create new vendor. I've got fields. Let's look at our fields. We have fields at the top that are visible. And let's see what this is. Well, vendor product photo. I'm going to remove that. There was no vendor product. That was something I deleted. We have visible fields and we have automatic fields. Okay, so when we create the vendor account, what we want to do is we want to set an automatic field here. So let's see if we can, oh, you know what? We're going to, I'm sorry, my mistake. We're going to come down to the submit button, and the submit button has two things: create a vendor and link. We also want to update the logged in user, because only whoever's logged in is creating this. So we're going to click update logged in user. So here's our logged in user record, and we have a field for vendor status. So I'm going to come down here and user vendor status. So I'm going to change this to true, which means we are now a user vendor. So if you're a user vendor status when you log in, when you create an account as a vendor, it'll turn this on. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I'm going to show you how all this works. I'm going to click on preview, and I'm going to click sign up, and I'm going to make this carl@carl.com, and I'm going to put password Carl. So we're creating a new account. I'm going to sign up. And so now it's going to make us add a profile picture. So I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to grab a picture of some chocolates. So that'll be my profile picture, a plate of chocolates. I'm going to call myself Carly, and I'm going to put a phone number, and I'm going to choose a state. I'm going to choose a state of Texas, because I know the tax rate in Texas. Create user profile, and that brings us to the home screen. Now notice there's a home screen, but there's no green button for vendor profile. So I'm going to go ahead and click become a vendor, and now I'm going to put in name, Carly Co. We make chocolates. I'll put a vendor photo in. I'm going to go grab another piece of chocolate photos. So here's some chocolate truffles. And then http://carlyco.com. And I'll put in my hours of operation, noon till midnight. Okay, and I'm going to create the vendor. So that's now going to take us back, and looky here, you've got a green vendor profile button. So now we can click on the profile button. We've already become a vendor, so we don't want to do that again. In fact, I'm going to make that button disappear, because I only want one vendor per user. So let's go make that button disappear. So here we go. We're going to make the button disappear by coming over here to the become a vendor button, and we're going to click on it. And we're going to scroll up here to the top, and we're going to make it change visibility, sometimes visible. We're going to make it sometimes visible if the logged in user vendor status is false. So it'll be visible if it's false. That'll allow you to become a vendor. But if it's true, then that button will disappear, because we don't want you to be able to create another vendor account. Okay, so now let's go log back in as Carl. So I'm going to click the login button this time, and I'm going to make this carl@carl.com, Carl, login, and now that'll take us directly to the profile page. Well, looky here, I've got a little bit of an issue with my button going too high. So I'm going to have to format this a little bit better. So I'm going to click off here, close this. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these buttons all real nice and tight together. Whoops. I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit to get a little tighter on this. Okay. That's all about the same. All right, so hopefully this will be all right. So I think those are all about the same distance. So I'm going to click off. I'm now going to click preview, and let's see if that arranges the buttons a little better. So I'm going to log back in. All right, we're going to log in as Carl. And we still have a problem with our buttons sliding up too much. So okay, so let's do this. I'm going to click, I'm using the shift key to move these all together. So let's do this. Let's just go ahead and put this apricot rocket graphic. So we're going to highlight it, Control C. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put home, place the graphic in, bring it down, center it. There we go. Center the graphic. That should keep things from sliding up. Let's see how that looks. Now we should be able to see our buttons showing up the way we want them to. Log in. And again, Carl at carl.com. Carl, log in. There we go. Now we see vendor profile, but we don't have the option to become a vendor again. So we can search the product list. We can go to my profile, which is the person profile, and we can also log out. So if I click on vendor profile, that allows me to go to the vendor the user's vendor list. Okay, so I don't have anything on my user's vendor list, and I'm not sure why. I'll have to go back and check what's on my user's vendor list. If I click on my profile, that takes us to the Carl Carley profile, and I can, I don't really have anything I can do here. I wonder what this little button here is. If I click on that, oh, that allows us to edit the profile. That takes us to the edit profile page, and I can say put in my phone number. I'll put in 888-999-7777, Carl at carl.com. Go ahead and click save. And that takes us back to the Carl Carley page. And we just have a little bit of vendor information. If I go ahead and click on home, that takes us back to the home page. And there we go. We've kind of done one loop around, if you will, one loop around the profile page. Now, let's click on the Become a Vendor and see what we have here. So we have Become a Vendor, Create Vendor Account. That would know. Vendor Profile. Click, it goes to Users Vendor List. Okay, so let's go look at Users Vendor List. Where is our Users Vendor List? Okay, so if I go here, this is our Users Vendor List. What have we got here? We've got vendors, all vendors, current vendor. Okay, so we want to check and see if the current vendor user email is equal to the logged in user email. Let's change this around and let's go to the, okay, is equal to the logged in user email. Okay, wait a second. Vendors, all vendors, login user vendors. Okay, let's see if that change does it. I have this set to vendors, but I want to have logged in user vendors. I think that will do the trick. Let's go look and see if it lets us link the way that we want to. So log in again as Carl. And click login. And now let's go to vendor profile. And we don't see anything here. So I don't know why we don't see anything here. Let's go check create vendor account. So when we created the vendor account, let's come down here and look at our fields. We've got vendor name. Okay, oh, I know what we didn't do. We didn't set the vendor user. That's the problem. Okay, so add automatic account, and we're going to come down here to vendor user, logged in user, done. Okay, so that is why we didn't have that working the way that we expected it to. I forgot to set the vendor account with the username associated with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here into our database, and we're going to go into our vendors, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the records, and we have Carlico. So I'm going to click on Carlico, and I'm going to scroll down to our vendor user list, and we're going to get Carl at carl.com, and we're going to save it. Okay, so now we've set Carl at carl.com or Carlico as being vendor list. So now let's go here. I may have to go back and change the filter on the list. Oops. Carl at carl.com. Carl, log in. And let's go to vendor profile. And here we go, Carlico. So here's our Carlico vendor. And I click, and that'll take us to the vendor profile page. And we need to go ahead and finish fleshing this out. Now at this point, there's no products in this account, and we're logged in as the vendor, or as the user that created the vendor. So we're logged in as the vendor, so we can see products, shipping, profiles, and order. Okay, if you're not the vendor, if you're not the vendor user, the person that created the vendor account, then you would not see the products, shipping, profile, and orders buttons here, because they're set to not display if you're not the vendor. So they're only visible if you're the vendor. Now, we don't have any products added because we haven't added any products. So if I click on products, that allows us to add a product. I'll say chocolate pack A and tasty. Oh, that's a price. I'll make it $10. Tasty chocolate. And let's put a product image in here, and I'll just put in, I don't think I have any other chocolates, so I'll go ahead and put in this image, and we're going to go ahead and click update product. And now that brings us, it doesn't take us anywhere. This is actually, I'm on a page that allows us to, I'm not sure what page I'm on. I'm going to click the back button. Here we go. Now I should be able to see the products on this page, but I don't know. Well, I have to go look at the way we've got those settings set. So let's do this. Let's go set up a shipping. So we're going to add a shipping option. We're going to call this Carlico Local Delivery. We'll make this $4.95. So we're creating a shipping option. And it looks like we have some other things here. So I'm going to get rid of them. Carlico Local Delivery. So now we're going to go back. And so now I should have several things set up. So, but there's some stuff that's not looking quite right for me. And so we're going to need to debug that. But I'm going to leave that for tomorrow because we've now been at this for 30 minutes. And so I set up the basic schematic or the basic framework for this, but we need to come back and do a few little tweaks. So we're doing those. We're going to finish this off over the next couple of days, and then we're going to have a working app that you can use. So come back tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and we'll continue this. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and just click here. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry, I got a little bit of a late start today. See you at 3 o'clock tomorrow. And we're going to zoom through all of these different changes that I made, and you're going to be it's a very cool app. You're going to like this. Have fun. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.